So let's discuss this keyword. This keyword dot HTML. Right. So any idea on recursive function? So what is recursive function? So a function, first recursive function. Okay. So a function which calls itself. Okay. Until certain condition returns false. Okay. So a function which calls itself until certain condition false. Okay. So this scenario is nothing but recursive function. Okay. So now, so just basic uh, function. So I'm just taking let so n equal to okay n equal to 0. Okay. So here sample is try to increase. So n plus plus. Okay. So then again sample. Okay. So for that I'm just mentioning here. Just added it. So here. So here if n less than 6 equals 5. Okay. So if n less than 5, then I'm going to call the same function again. Again. So now at the last console.log. Yes. Now I'm going to mention this console.log here. The n value. Now I need to call this function first time. So from the second time, this simple function is going to call. Okay. So this is the main function. Okay, whatever I have created. So inside this function, I am just increasing this n value. Okay, plus 1. Okay. So if the condition is true, this same function will call itself. Okay, will call by itself. Okay, sample function is calling. Then again, this sample function is going to exist. Then again, it is going to increment. This condition is true. Then again, it is going to call the same sample function. So like this, it is going to execute. First time we need to call. Without calling this, it won't work. It never ever create any output. First time we need to call outside the function. See, I think at last it is going to print. So we need to mention this here. We'll try now. Okay, so it is working fine. Okay, so the thing is if you're mentioning equal to, then it is going to print 5 times. Okay, so the thing is if this condition is false, then this function will never ever call. Okay, why? Because if this condition will returns false, then the cursor is not going to move forward to this inner block. Okay, so recursive function, a function, this is the function, a function which will calls itself until certain condition returns false. So until this condition returns false, So this function is going to call itself. We are not going to call it. Okay, the function is going to call this. Okay, so here we are calling directly. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is sample, like a simple example for recursive function. Okay, that. So then very important. So this keyword in JavaScript. Okay, what is this keyword in JavaScript? Okay, so this, what is this in general? So outside of coding, okay, outside of JavaScript. So where we are going to use this keyword, this word, where we are going to use this word. So whenever, okay, so for your understanding purpose. So here, so there will be a house, just assume. There will be a house. Inside this house, so inside this house, there will be two persons living together. So one is Peter, another one is Peter brother. Another one is Peter brother. Okay, so the house address will be so house number so 53. So then one okay, 53 slash 114. Okay, so cross. Okay, fifth cross I'm going to mention. Fifth cross. So here Diwala. So then again PTM Diwala Road. Okay, so BTM layout. So Bangalore. So if it is pin code, then just mention the pin code also. It is not mandatory. So just assume. So this is the house address. This is the house address. Okay. So just assume. So now what this Peter needs to convey to his brother is, so here we need to renovate this house. This house. So try to understand. So here we need to renovate this house. So what is this pointing here? The current house, whatever they're staying. Okay, the current house, whatever they're staying. Okay, otherwise Peter is not going to tell like we need to renovate house number 53 slash 1 hyphen 4 fifth cross Madiwala Road. These things he is not going to share. Okay, why? Because then Peter brother will thinks he lost his mind. He's not going to tell like this. So he's going to tell we need to renovate this house. This is shortcut. So this refers to the current state. Okay. This refers here the current house, whatever they're going to share. Okay. Similarly in JavaScript, this keyword will play crucial role. In React also we are going to use. So here I am going to create an object. So person. So person or const. So const person. name Peter. Okay. So then again, city. So city, I'm going to mention here Chennai. Okay. So now I'm going to create a method info. Info. So just it is a call function this. Okay, you can just create normal function also, no issue. Just for time being, I'm just using arrow function. Okay, so I'm using arrow function. I'm using arrow function. You can just use normal function, arrow function, whatever it may be. So now console.log. So here, if I need to pass dynamic data, I'm going to use backticks string literal. So here, what I need to pass? I need to extract this pattern. How to extract object? Anyone? How to extract object? So I am. So how to extract object? Just tell me. So syntax to extract this value from the object. Then it extract this pattern. So how to extract? So how to extract values from an array? From the array, I need to extract values. How? By using uh, which values we are going to extract that array. If I need to extract any values from an array, 1, comma 2, comma 3, 4, comma 5. Okay, like this. So what are the values I need to use to extract this 2, 3, 4? Directly I'm not able to access, right? What I need to do? So using their index values, we are going to access. Okay. Similarly, here when coming to the object, there will be two ways. One is dot notation, another one is bracket notation. Person dot name to extract this pattern. Okay, similarly, I am passing here person dot name. Then again, person dot city. Now, if I need to call this function, okay, so they will be wrapped inside the object. So person dot info. Since it is a function, we need to call it. If you are mentioning like this is a property. If you are, if it is function, you need to call it. So I'm Peter living in Chennai. This undefined is coming from. Okay, okay. So no need to mention console.log. Now, see, I'm Peter living in Chennai. So since this entire function will be wrapped inside an object, why we need to mention again that object name? No need to use it. Just simply mention this dot name, this dot, this dot city. So it is not. What happened? This is not about current object, right? This dot. So what happened to it? Oh, okay. So the thing is, okay, I'm going to explain it, no issue. So for time being, I'm just mentioning here normal function. So I will explain why it is not working also. I will explain no issue. So the thing is, I'm going to use here anonymous function. Then it is working. Okay. So I am Peter living in Germany. Okay. So now it is working. This points to the parent object or wherever you have called that function, it is going to target. Okay. So here, so this function, so I'm going to create sample. Inside this function, just I'm going to use console.log this keyword. Okay. So here, whenever you have mentioned this keyword inside an object, this points to its parent object. So person is a parent object. Okay. So whenever you're calling this keyword inside the normal function, like function declaration, so it will point out to the window object. Window object. So if you are mentioning same function inside the object, it is going to point out the person object. If you globally declared a function, it is going to point out to the window object. Okay. When coming to the arrow function. Arrow function. So arrow function, and remove all these things. Just print this. So person dot info. See, it is not working. So parent object, right? Strict mode. Okay, no issue. So we'll just create one more arrow function outside the object. And here it is. So function is working, right? So it is selecting it's a parent object. If it is arrow function, go and select window object. See, window object. So the issue is, so in interview they are going to ask what is the difference between arrow function and normal function. Okay, very important. Syntactically there will be a difference. Anyone can tell this particular line. Syntactically there will be a difference between a function declaration and arrow function. The major difference between the normal function or function declaration and arrow function is there is no this keyword for the arrow function. For arrow function, there is no its own this keyword. This keyword will point out to the global object window. Window is the global object. Window is the global object. So every time if you are pointing this keyword inside the arrow function, it will point out to the window object. It will never ever point out to the parent object. Okay. So, but if we are using here normal function or anonymous function, function declaration or anonymous function, it will always point out to the parent object. Wherever you have called this function, sorry, wherever you have called this keyword, so it's a parent object. Okay, this person is the parent object for this keyword function. Okay, so it is going to select this person. See, entire person is printing here. Okay, that is the major difference between arrow function and normal function. So arrow function does not contains its own this keyword, whereas it will support lexical this. Okay, we are going to see lexical this also, whereas it will support lexical this, but it will never ever supports its own this keyword. It does not have this own this keyword. But for coming to the anonymous function on function declaration, it supports own this keyword. Clear? So what is lexical this? So function sample, so let name or else just try to create one more object here. Here itself I'm going to create person, right? So one more. Sure. So inside this function, if I create one more arrow function, let direct arrow function, I try to create, if I mention this console.log here. Okay, so now this time if I try to print, so let arrow function is equal to, just try to call arrow. See, so now this time arrow function is supporting person object. Earlierly, if you are mentioning directly arrow function, it won't supports. It won't supports. Okay. Won't supports. Okay, window. It is selecting window. But whenever you have selected arrow function inside the anonymous function or function declaration, this keyword is sharing. This function has this keyword, right, which is parent object. It is sharing the same details to this arrow function. So this is nothing but lexical this. So arrow function does not have its own this keyword. It will support lexical this. Means if you have wrapped any function, sorry, if you have wrapped this arrow function within any other function declaration or anonymous function, it will just share the details of its own parent function details. Okay, so wherever you have called this keyword, it is going to select this is an object. This keyword is an object which is going to hold the, okay, which is a data type, special data type. Yes. So this keyword is special data type. Special data type which is going to hold the value of, which is going to hold the its own parent object where this has been triggered. So wherever you are calling this keyword, it is going to hold that parent object. If you are calling inside the function, it is going to hold that global object. Okay, so like this. So wherever you are using this keyword, it is going to select those respective parent. If it is event, it is going to select that HTML element. Okay, so like this, different places we are going to use this keyword. Okay, so manually where we are going to use this keyword. So whenever you are working on call, so whenever we are going to apply manually this keyword, so on the time call, apply and bind. So these are the methods where we can just apply this keyword manually. So here this keyword is not in our control. By default, it is going to target its parent. Okay, so if it is not available, it is going to select a window. Okay, so but just give me a second. Comment it. So let function is the right. See, if it is normal function, so console.log this, just call this function sample, just call it. So it is going to target window object. If it is strict mode, if it is strict mode, use strict. To wrap inside the use strict. If it is strict mode, it is going to return undefined. Okay, if it is general function also, it is going to return undefined. If it is arrow function, let sam is equal to, if it is floppy mode, it is going to select window object. If it is strict mode, it is going to select window object. Same. Okay, so there is no its own this keyword for arrow function. It always points out to the global object, which is window. Okay, so that is the major difference between normal function and arrow function. Okay, even it is strict mode also, normal function will just return undefined, but arrow function will always point out to the global object. Okay, done almost. Now, so this call apply bind, whenever we are working on individual objects, on that time we will just work on these things. Okay, so the thing is, so function. Okay, just I'm going to pass city. Okay, so this is the function console.log. So I'm going to mention here directly will best pass. So this dot. Okay, so now living in. Okay, living in. So we pass it. Okay, so this is just triggering its own parent object. So we'll just mention here. So const person one. So is equal to the object. So name Peter. Okay, so Peter. So this time, so I'm going to apply a call method for this object. Okay, and will dot call. So we're going to mention person1. Oh, okay, it is also fine. No need to mention argument also. So till here, we will just check whether it is working or not. Until it's working or not. Yeah, Peter, it is giving. Okay, so I am Peter. So here, this is the function. This is the object. So, okay, so whenever I'm mentioning this keyword inside the function, it needs to point out to the global object. But here I'm explicitly mentioning this keyword, just I'm mentioning that this keyword will point out to this object. In another case, if I have created one more object, so const person2. So here name is Jessica. Jessica. So this time, just the same, this keyword, I am going to point out to the person2. See, first time, so first time it is going to point out to the first object. Second time, same function is going to point out to the second object. Like this, you can just manually mention this keyword wherever you need, you can just call this keyword. Okay, so same, if you are familiar with this call, same apply also. Okay, Apply is going to accept arguments like an array. Okay, so array. So just you need to pass. Sorry. Pass it right. Option. So the arguments you need to pass it as an array. There will be list of arguments. Okay, so I'm going to pass it here. City or course, whatever it may be. So just living mention here normal city. Okay, so this time, so I need to pass here. If I'm using call, pass here channel. Okay, so if I'm using this keyword, sorry, apply on this time, this keyword we need to pass same arguments like an array. But see, okay, if it is call, again you need to pass list of arguments. Okay, if you have list of arguments, city, course, so then again, in for course, course to enroll. Okay, so same. If you have third argument, you need to. So first argument is nothing but object. So whenever you are working on call method, okay, first argument is nothing but for call method. First argument is nothing but where your this keyword needs to point out. Object, which object you need to point out this keyword. So that object you need to pass. Just mention this function at last. Okay, so first argument is nothing but object, which object you need to point out with this keyword. Okay, so that object you need to pass. Second argument, city, you need to pass. Third argument, I'm just passing here UI development. So now go on check. See, so I am Peter living in Chennai looking for UI development to enroll. Okay, same. If you are working on apply, so just almost same. The thing is, it will accept only list. So call will accept a list of arguments, but apply will accept array of arguments. That's it. That is the difference. So I'm going to pass here SQL develop. See that undefined has been removed. See Jessica living in Hyderabad looking for SQL developer course to enroll. Okay. So the major difference between call and apply is so call will accept a list of arguments, but apply will accept array of arguments. So we can just using spread operator also, we can just destructure this array. Okay, there is no issue. Okay, so the thing is let array is equal to this array. You can just pass it here, array of arguments. So just remove this apply, just mention call. If it is an array also no issue, just use spread operator. Done. Will be same output. See? Okay, so nowadays, majorly we are going to use call method only. So no one is going to use apply by because we can just overcome from that particular apply method using the spread operator. Okay, we can just destructure this array. Okay, so we can just destructure it. Okay, so bind again, we are going to bind this method. So just explore similar, so almost similar. So we are going to bind out that method to this particular. Okay. So every time we are not going to apply bind like a call, apply these things. Just to create one function. So, okay. Result is equal to what it is sample dot bind. I am going to bind that object. Okay, person one. Okay, so Hyderabad. So just I am binding it directly. We can call it as a like function. That's it. So I'm just able to call it as a function. That's it. Okay, I'm going to bind this object directly to this method. That's it. Okay, this method or else function, I'm just directly binding to this object. Clear? Okay, in initial days, so it will feel difficult days. So just try to do practice whatever we have discussed. So which is very, very important. So call, apply, bind are used to mention this keyword manually. From our end, we are going to mention where this keyword will work. Actually, whenever you are using this keyword inside this object, directly it will point out to the parent object. But here, this keyword is point this keyword is pointing wherever we need. So if it is first object, we need to select. So just mention first object. If we need to select second object, you can just select second object. Wherever we need, we can just point out that particular this keyword using call, apply, bind. Hope you're clear. So just try to explore if you need any descriptive theory part about this particular this keyword or these things. Just try to explore in materials, whatever in LMS portal is there. Just try to explore. So any doubts till this point? So till this point, any doubts? So if you're feeling difficulties, just let me know. Or else just try to do practice at least one time. So we'll understand what exactly it is. Okay. So events has been covered or not? Events has been completed or not?
No, sir.
Events in JS.html. So just I'm going to create a div. So inside this div, I'm going so this is div tag. Inside this div tag, I'm going to create button. So button click here. So, so here I'm just going to select using DOM. I'm going to select that button. Okay, so for timing, I'm going to use style, background color. uh, So padding 15 pixels. So border radius 10 pixels. Border 2 pixels. Solid white. Done. These are fine. So then again here style width 50%. So then again background okay, no issue. Border so 2 pixels solid dark. Dark. Fine. Okay, so I have just created div one button. So I'm going to work on script. So inside the script, if I need to select this button using DOM, so how? So just use let button is equal to document dot query selector. So just use button tag name. Okay. However, you are selecting in CSS, just use that tag name. That's it. General selector. Now try to console it whether it has been selected or not. So button it has been. Just go and check. So here it has been selected. Okay, try to give here height as well. So height 150 pixels. Done. Okay, no issue. Okay, it is not the case. So okay, it has been selected. Button has been selected. So first, event. What is an event? So any idea? So in general, what is an event? Event in JS. So in general, what is an event? Anyone? Anyone? Events. We are going to see in general.
More people gathering in one place only.
Yeah, it's okay. It is an event where we are going to celebrate it, right? Exactly, you're saying that. Okay, so in JavaScript, the event is nothing but it is an action. Okay, so whenever if I need to communicate with my browser or web page, I need to communicate. So here, if I need to open this banner, just what I need to do, I need to click on this banner. Then it is going to navigate to that respective page wherever they have loaded. So whatever they have loaded that page URL path, it is going to just navigate to that respective page. See, here I'm just clicking on it. Next banner I'm going to click. See, I'm going to clicking on it. It is just navigating to that respective page. So here what I'm doing, I'm just clicking. Clicking is my event. Okay. So event is an action which is triggered by end user or client. Okay. So based on that action, whatever the function you are going to execute, it is going to execute that respective function. Okay. So here, so I need to open this particular item details. What I need to do? So by seeing this particular item, if I just tell to that item just to open, it's not going to do right. So even though if my mouse cursor moves on top of that item, it will never ever open any details. Okay. In some cases, they are going to just show some details using some sliders, but in all the case, it is not possible. We need to click on it. Okay, if I just hover on it, it will never ever displays any details. But here, if I just hover, see, if I just hover, it is just displaying some details. So it is nothing but another event which is mouse on. Okay, mouse on, mouse leave. If I leave, see, if I leave, it is just it is not displaying that particular items. So here, if I hover, it is not working. For this item, they have added click event. If I click, then only it will give response. Okay, event is nothing but it is an action which will be triggered by end user or client. Once that event has been triggered, it is going to execute the callback function, whatever you have loaded. Okay, so whatever you have loaded, that callback function has been going to execute. Okay, so now, so there will be two ways. But first one is inline events. So nowadays, no one is going to use in JavaScript, but in React, we are going to see this. So then again, another one is add event listener. Add event listener. Okay, these are the two ways to apply events. So inline events, so just in opening tag itself, we are going to apply on click. So on click. So just try to mention alert. So alert. What we need to do. This is okay. Hi, Peter. Welcome back. Done. So if I just click on this button, just reload your page. See, hi Peter, welcome back. That alert has been executed. Okay, this is inline event apply. Okay, so this is how we are going to apply inline events. Okay, in a single line, like however inline CSS, same here. In a single line, opening tag itself, we are going to apply. But the drawback for this inline events is, so we are not able to apply same events, same two events. We are not able to apply two same events. Okay, so on click is not able to suggest it again. See, so but first time we are able to use it. On click is suggesting, but here second time we are not able to use it. This is the drawback. So the thing is, we are not able to apply same event name two times on the same element. Okay, this is the drawback. Then again, it is also going to violate SOC principles. Okay, so majorly we are not going to use this, but we need to aware of it. Okay, so here add event listener, majorly we are going to work on it. So add event listener, how we are going to, I have just selected that button using DOM method, query selector. So now btn dot, so btn is nothing but this variable now which is going to store this entire, see, entire element. So btn, which is an object. Okay, so btn dot add event listener. So add event listener is the method which will accept two arguments. First one is event name. Second one is callback function. Callback function. So whatever you need to display, or else whatever the action you need to perform, you need to load all these things inside this function, callback function. So why I am calling this as callback function? Why? Because we are not calling this function. The add event listener, which is higher order function, will take care about that event, sorry, that function call. Okay, we are not going to call it. So button was clicked. Button was clicked. So okay. So now try to go and check. See, if I click on it, see, button was clicked. If I click on it again, see, it is going to print. Keep on printing. Okay. So how many times you are going to trigger same action or else the same event on that respective element? Okay, same event has been triggered again and again on same element. It is going to keep on execute same function again and again. So based on user requirement or else based on user action, how many times that user is going to click on this button element, it is going to call this function again and again n number of times. There is no limit. Okay. If you need to mention alert also, you can just mention alert. Hello, UI developer. See, if I click on it, it is going to give alert first. Then again, it is going to print console. Then again, if I click on it, then again, same function will be called again and again. See, same second time. Okay, like this, it is going to execute. If you need, you can just pass arrow function. Syntactically, it is easy, but you can just pass anonymous function also. It will also find function. Will also find same. It is also going to work. Or else you can just take one more function declaration function, click event is my function name. Just mention all the actions, whatever you need to do. Just mention inside this function. Inside this function, just mention. Just remove this arrow function or anonymous function. Just mention this function name. That's it. Click event. No need to call it. If you are going to call it, this is the calling function calling. But I'm just mentioning function name. This add event listener method will take care about its calling. See, same. Okay, you can just pass here arrow function, anonymous function, or function declaration, whatever it may be. But the thing is, you are not going to call that particular function. You are going to just mention it with this name. Okay, it is going to take care about it. Clear? Any doubts till this point? The same for every event. So there will be a lot of events on submit. Okay, so on submit, I'm going to share you. So blur mouse on is the red on. The mouse on is nothing but while my cursor or else my mouse pointer moves on top of that element. It's not working. Please at least mouse leave. Enter. So enter. Okay, mouse enter, not mouse on. So mouse enter. While my mouse cursor or pointer moves on top of that element, immediately it is going to trigger that function call. See, it's going to execute. Okay, see, no need to click on it. Just move on top of that element. So like this. So then again, mouse leave. Mouse leave. Whenever I have just left this particular button element, it is going to execute. Okay, so mouse enter, mouse leave, key up, key down. See, we're going to create input tag. So first form, inside the form. So what we need to do? So input tag. So name, first name, done. Okay, so I'm going to select that input field. Let so input tag is equal to document dot query selector input. Okay, so now you can just pass here input, sorry, input tag dot add event listener. So first you can just pass click also, no issue, but it is not preferred for input fields. Okay, blur event. I am going to explain what is blur also. So whenever console.log, so console.log input has been filled, done. So blur. So this is my input field here. This try to mention placeholder. Enter your name. This is my input field. Okay, if I try to mention any data, so blur is nothing but whenever I am just clicking outside this input field, entire screen, outside this input field, if I click anywhere in entire screen, so this is nothing but blur. See, I'm just clicking inside the input field, I'm just clicking outside the input field, blur. Okay, wherever in entire screen or else body tag, wherever you're going to click just outside the input field, it is nothing but blur. Okay, so it is going to trigger that event, blur event. Okay, that respective function is going to call back. Okay, so now this time, so this function, so here also this function for every add event listener function has one parameter which is event object. You can just pass it as E or else ABC or else a sample, whatever it may be, the parameter name. The thing is, first parameter for this particular function is event object. Okay, just remember event object. If you try to print this event object, what it is going to print? Just load it. See, focus, event object it is. See, where it is. So type blur, event type blur, window object has been selected. Just to see window object. So window object alert. So all these methods. Okay. So then again, objects local storage it is. Okay. So then again, see here it is location where our path has been. Like document. See, this is our document. If you just select it, entire document has been selected. So event dot target. Where is target? Target is not target now. So we'll just try to extract here itself e dot target. It is going to select input field. So not only input field, wherever you are using this event object, So that respective element, HTML element, it is going to point out. See here, it is going to select input field. If I just directly, I'm not going to print this button. I'm not going to print. See, this time input field has been selected. If we are mentioning event object inside this click event, so just try to mention e dot target. It is going to get that respective element. If you are clicking it, click event, right? Mouse leave. Okay. So mouse leave. So I'm going to comment this alert. So whenever I have just leave this element, see, same event dot target is nothing but that element is going to select it. Same for input field also. Whenever blur has been triggered, that event, sorry, that element has been triggered. So similarly, if you need to extract value, just pass here value. Now this time, if you are just written something, just blur, that value has been extracted. Okay, so event dot target dot value, majorly we are going to work on this particular things, even if it is form validations, whatever it may be, just on the time we are going to use. See, Peter has been extracted. Just remove Jessica has been extracted. So like this, we are going to extract the values from the elements. Okay, event dot target dot value. Okay, clear. So the thing is, almost all events we are going to working like same only. The thing is, we are going to modify that event name here itself. If it is click, just mention here click. If it is double click, just mention double click. Okay, so if it is blur, just mention blur. So just modify the event name. Rest over things are same almost. Okay, event object place folder is same. All these things are same almost. So the thing is, we are going to modify that event name every time. That's it. Rather than that, nothing is there. So just try to do explore on these events, which are very, very important. Majorly, we are going to work. Without events, we are not going to communicate with our web applications or else UI. Okay. So events are very, very important. In events, if you are using this keyword, just check. Already we have completed, right? This keyword. Just if you're using this keyword, it is going to point out what is that event. Blur, right? If that blur has been triggered, see the object. Why? Because it is an arrow function. If it is a normal function, it is a normal function, is going to trigger HTML element. See, button has been triggered. So if I just mention click, not mostly, click. See, this keyword points to that respect to HTML element. Clear. If you are using this keyword in events, it is going to point out to the HTML element. If you are going to use this keyword inside the function, normal function, it points out to the global object windows. Okay. Then again, if you are using this keyword inside the arrow function, it will point out to the global object. If it is strict mode or non floppy mode, it is going to point out to the global object window. Okay. If it is normal function, if you have wrapped this function inside any object, it is going to point out it's a parent object. If you are working like this keyword, you have mentioned any, sorry, this keyword, if you have mentioned any object inside an object, so on that time, it is going to point out that respect to parent object. If you have mentioned this keyword inside an events, it is going to point out to this HTML elements. If you need to manually mention this keyword wherever you need, just use call apply bind. So here we can just point out this keyword in person one. We can just point out this keyword in person two. Wherever we need, we can just point out that this keyword. Okay, but here we are not able to control. But here we are not able to control. Directly it will point out that respect to objects, window object or HTML element, whatever it may be. But here call apply bind, we can able to control this keyword. Wherever we need, we can just mention this keyword. In this case, this keyword is point outing this person one. In this case, this keyword is point outing person two, like this. But when coming to the here, we are not able to control this keyword. Directly it will point out. I hope clear. Just recap entire things, whatever we have discussed today. So if you're feeling difficulties, just let me know. I will just explain it again. No issue. Okay, but these are the important things we need to aware of it compulsory. Okay, without these things, we are not able to tell front end developers. Very, very important. Without this keyword, there is no interview completion. Okay, so there is without this keyword question interview, there will be no completion of that interview. It's mandatory. They are going to ask what is this keyword, what is the difference between arrow function and normal function. So just be prepared for tomorrow. So if you are feeling any difficulties, just let me know.